There are three things that I remind myself of every single morning before I start my day that put me in the right mind state for the day and help me have a great day, that I think would be really good if you started to remind yourself of every single morning too before you start your day. So I actually sleep with my phone on airplane mode at night just so I'm undisturbed by the outside world. And actually, when I go through my morning routine in the morning, I keep it on airplane mode until right about the time when I leave, just so I can stay pretty focused and pretty present in the morning with all the things that I'm doing, be it meditation, reading, journaling, whatever it is. I like to be fully present and not let the outside world get into my brain that early in the morning. But right before I take my phone off airplane mode, I read a note in my phone that has these three important thoughts just before I start my day, and it helps just get me in the right mind state for the day. So I just want to tell these to you, and I think that these could help you start your day in the right way because they're three very important reminders about life. So the very first thing that I remind myself of every single morning when I wake up is one day I'm going to die. So in Stoicism, Stoic philosophy, I've talked about it before, they talk about the term memento mori, which translates to remember I will die. So I know what you might be thinking. You might be thinking that this is a pretty dark way to start the day. You don't want to be thinking about death or any of that right when you wake up or right before you start your day. But I'm a big believer that the more that we focus on death and the more that we focus on the fact that we're going to die, because that is the one inevitable thing in life, is that we're all going to die one day, the more you can bring to today and the more urgency that you have to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish and make the most of today. And I think sometimes we get subconsciously thinking that we have all the time in the world and that we're going to live forever. But if you look at all the people who came before us, all the great people, all the leaders and people that we look up to, they all died at some point. And I think reminding ourselves of this is an amazing way to just be grateful for today and to realize that today is not promised, today is not given to anyone, and that it's just a gift to be here and to wake up every single day. For me, I just think it's an amazing reminder of just how blessed we are to have an opportunity to live today and to experience this life and just to go out and make the most of it today. And I think sometimes when you recognize that you're gonna die one day, there's a lot less fear in life, because some of the trivial things that we might be afraid of in the day-to-day, you can just say that line in your head. I love to say memento mori and just remember I will die. So what is being afraid of going into a game and making a mistake or saying something to someone out on the street? You know, all these things, all these little fears are very trivial when you realize that, hey, I'm going to be dead one day, and all these people are also going to be dead one day. So again, I think that might sound a little dark, but I think when you actually think about it, you realize how much life it does bring, just knowing that today is just an amazing blessing. I think that sometimes we think that death is just some faraway destination that we'll hit when we're 70, 80, 90 years old, whatever it is. But like I said, nothing is guaranteed. There are people who die at a young age, and there are accidents that happen all the time. So just remember that this day that you've been given this morning and the day that you're about to embark on is a gift, and you need to treat it like such and have urgency throughout the day to become the person that you know you're destined to be, and make completely the most of today, because you know that tomorrow is never guaranteed. So that's the first thing that I remind myself of. The second thing I remind myself of every morning is that things happen, but the most important thing is my response. So I plan my day the next day, the night before. So I'll have goals for the day, how I want to spend my time, all sorts of things. But you and I both know that plans are only plans, and there are things that happen throughout the day that can mess up our plans or go against how we think the day is going to go, or think we're going to mess up our day, or whatever it is. But I just want to remind you that the most important thing when those things do come up is your response to them. So like I said, there are a whole host of things in this day coming ahead of you that could happen that you might label as bad or negative or something. You get stuck in traffic, or someone says something to you that kind of takes you off guard, or you have a bad practice, or whatever it is. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is how you respond to these events. So one of my favorite books, it's been a while since I've read it, but it's called Above the Line, and it's by Urban Meyer, who is the former head football coach of Ohio State University, had a lot of success there. And he gave this little equation in the book, which I think is amazing. He said E plus R equals O. So those 3 letters all stand for a word. So E is event plus R, which is your reaction, equals O, the outcome. So if there's an event today in your life that happens that is seemingly negative, right? Let's put like a little down arrow next to that. If you want equals O to have a positive O outcome, that means that your response has to be higher than how low that event went. So basically, you just have to be able to respond in the best way to anything that happens today. And I think the biggest thing that kind of gets in our way would be the emotions that happen in the moment of it. So let's just say you spilled some coffee on your favorite shirt in the morning. The worst thing for you to do is to get emotional and to freak out and get so mad and get mad at the world. But while these emotions are normal, at the end of the day, they're not going to do anything, right? And your response and how quickly you can respond is going to be the thing that actually gets you the outcome that you want at the end of the day, the best possible outcome. One analogy, one little picture I like to have in my head of responding really well is if you think of an anthill. If I was to go outside right now and just kick over an anthill, what do you see the ants do? Do they all look up at the sky and go, oh, why? We spent so long building this hill. Oh my gosh, this is gonna take forever to rebuild. Well, why, God, why? No, all the ants do is they come out of the hill and right away, they're just rebuilding the hill right away. And although they aren't human beings and don't have emotions and everything like us, we're much more complex beings. I think it's pretty incredible just how quickly they just get right back to fixing it, right back to fixing the problem. No worries, no complaints, no thoughts, just right back to it. So for you, I think, how can you just be the best at responding to problems today? One thing I tell myself a lot is my job in life is not to wish for a perfect life or just hope that things go really well today, because again, it's very naive to think that things are just going to go well and perfect and just as you planned. It's my job every day to be a very good problem solver. So whenever something comes up that may not be something that I want, I just think, how quickly can I find something that will help me solve this problem? How quickly can I get back on track? How quickly can I do something that's going to help me? What's something I can do right now that will get me back on track and get me focused and get me solving this problem? So I think not only for today is that a good thought to have, but I also think just for the rest of your life, there's going to be a lot of things that happen that are not in your control, things that go against what you thought you had planned, things that you might think are negative events in your life. But the most important thing that you can do is respond to it in the best possible way with the best attitude and just get right to solving the problem. So that's the second thing. The third thing that I remind myself of every single day is that thoughts are things. Thoughts are things. So I could talk about this subject for hours. I'm a big believer in the law of attraction, maybe not in some of the ways that people put it out on Instagram or whatever, but I'm a very big believer that the thoughts that we think in our head, that we think strongly enough and have the most belief in, eventually become our physical reality that we live in today. There have been plenty of times in my life where I've had thoughts, I've had ideas, I've had dreams of things that I've wanted to create in my life and make become real. And after a certain amount of time of thinking about them and believing in them, actually became true. And you can even look to the best book of all time, the Bible, and Jesus said, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. What this tells me is that throughout my day-to-day, one of the most important jobs that I have is to protect my mind and protect the thoughts that I think, protect what is incoming into my brain. In this world that we have, this technological world, this 24/7 news cycle world, there are always things trying to be fed to our brains and for us to think a certain way and believe certain things. The people who do these things, they know how important our thoughts are. I want you to think of your brain as your mind, almost like it's a garden, and you have to plant the right seeds in that garden, and you have to tend to the garden, and you can't let weeds get in there and animals and all these different things that might want to ruin your garden. Your mind is the most powerful computer system out there in the world. I don't care what kind of MacBook or whatever is out there, what kind of technology. The human mind is the most powerful thing out there. If you look at everything that we have in our world today, the couch I'm sitting on, the phone I'm recording on, the apartment building I'm living in, all the skyscrapers that are outside, all of these things were once ideas, pictures in someone's mind, and then they built those pictures to become reality. So all of that is just for me to say your thoughts and what you think and the things that you allow into your brain are very, very important, and you need to take the utmost care with these things. So practically, what does that look like? What kind of inputs are you putting into your brain? Are you reading books? Are you listening to podcasts? Are you feeding things into your brain that are serving you and filling your mind with positive thoughts and abundance and ideas, rather than things that weigh you down, make you feel bad, tell you that you're not good enough, all these different things? What kind of music are you listening to? There are some types of music that just have messages that, to me, I just think are very negative and put you into a negative mind state. Who are the people that you associate with? There's the quote, I'm sure you've heard it, it's like, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. But again, these are associations that lead to thoughts in your brain and help put you in the mind state that is the best for you. So all these things are incredibly important, and it's just super crucial with what you put into your brain. So like I said, I could talk about law of attraction, all these kind of things for a long time, but if you want to dive deeper into it, I can make a future video about it, which I probably will. But 3 books that have completely changed my life. I actually have 2 of them right here. Number 1, 3 Magic Words by U.S. Anderson. Amazing book. Number 2, Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. Incredible book. And then the 3rd book I have on my Kindle, it's called What to Say When You Talk to Yourself by Dr. Shad Helmstetter. And those 3 books, if you want to start with understanding more about how your thoughts affect your world and reality and all that, I would highly recommend just picking up one of these 3 books. They all have similar ideas explained in kind of different ways, but they're all tied together. But I would highly recommend checking out those books. I'll put the links in the description so you can check them out on Amazon, pick them up. Those are 3 life-changing books that will show you the power of your mind and how important it is to just be so deliberate with your thoughts and all the things that come into your brain. So just in recap, those 3 things that I remind myself of every single morning are memento mori, one day I will die. 2, things happen in life. The best thing I can do is be a good responder to these events. And 3, thoughts are things, law of attraction, be very deliberate with your thoughts and what you allow into your mind. Those are the 3 things. I hope that maybe you can write these down, keep them on a little note card or in the notes in your phone, and just read over these things before you step out the door for the day and enter the world of whatever you do, before you go to school, before you go to training, whatever it is. Because I think these are 3 reminders that are not necessarily told to us by people in the world. I think those are kind of thoughts that aren't talked about much. So having these 3 things just at the forefront of your mind going into your day, I think will help you be, like I said, for myself, in a good mind state to have a great day and just make the most of whatever comes in front of you. So these are 3 things that have helped me a lot, and I hope they can help you too. And we'll talk soon.